Hello, everybody, and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43, and tonight we are back in Mino. And we're going to try doing something that I've never done before, which is run the Mino as a radar, and a stealth radar at that. Which means I have to give up a little bit, but I think you're going to see that, honestly, I always complain about every time I get into Mino, I don't get a chance to sit in my smoke and DACA anyway, right? So why not add an extra tool to the belt that helps me win games in the ship? And I already do pretty well in the Mino most of the time, but this is going to take it up a notch. Not necessarily in damage, but in terms of battle impact, and I think that's what we're going to showcase. So, with that being said, let's go show our commander. We're still running Bruce Fraser. We have Jerzy Swirsky and Gunichi Mikawa as our inspirations for that extra stealth. Again, I had to give up Von Essen. I like to have Von Essen on my British AP-only cruisers just because it gives you that little extra penetration angle that seems to help wake these things up a little bit. But I don't think Mino really needs it. And the reason being is that you're just sending so many rounds down range, they'll find a way to find something to do damage to. Beyond range, obviously, we don't have HE, so Igniter doesn't make any sense here, so we run Home Run, which gives us extra torpedo range. We've got Punch Through for even more AP shell damage and penetration multiplier, and then of course we have Fixated for extra grouping and main battery dispersion, and then of course we are running fully packed because we want to maximize the amount of big heals that we have, because remember, Mino does have a super heal for a cruiser, which is very, very nice, and when you're not able to hide in smoke and stuff, it does come in handy to be able to use those extra heal. Plus, on top of that, it also gives you an extra radar, which is the whole purpose of this build to begin with. Alright, so let's take a look at the rest of it. We are running Aiming Systems Mod 1. We're running Steering Gears Mod 2. We're running Concealment System Module. And we are running the Epic Main Battery Mod 3, which gives us a faster reload for every 30,000 damage we do. Now again, this match is not going to be about damage. This is not going to be a 200,000 damage Mino game. I apologize if you guys were looking forward to that, but this is going to be a different style Mino game. One that's a little bit more risky, but has a bigger reward, which is winning games. But other than that, I'm running the Hector flag because that's my new Spartan flag. I believe Hector was Trojan, right? I believe he was. Anyway, somebody's gonna Spartan. You're supposed to be the Greek mythology guy. Shh. But anyway, survivability 43,300. Nothing really changes there. Main battery with this, we are running the Epic battle booster, which gives us a little bit more main battery range, makes us a little bit faster, and also allows us to get our consumables back a little bit faster as well. But because of that, we get 17.4 kilometers range, which is plenty with a Mino. Okay, if you're shooting beyond that, you have to predict what your enemy's grandchildren's children will do. I guess that would be their great-grandchildren. You got to predict what they're going to do. Also, you don't really need extra reload too much in this because you're already sub 3 seconds, which is pretty crazy. Shell grouping, I mean, it's Mino. Mino's freaking ridiculous. Torpedo launchers, this is where you get a little bit extra range, 11-kilometer build, because we took the home run torpedoes. So we get a little bit extra torp range. It's not much, it's 11 kilometers, but still, when you get 16 torpedoes, extra range can be very nice for, dropping area denial. Maneuverability, 35.5 knots, so decently quick, but not as quick as you'd like out of a ship this small, especially one that's this squishy. So you got to be careful there, but it does have a pretty solid rudder. It may not look like it's a great rudder shift, but it is pretty solid. I don't have any trouble dodging in this ship, especially at medium and long range. You don't usually have any issues dodging. Up close, good luck. Detectability by sea is 9.4 kilometers with this build. Why is that important? Well, that's the whole reason of this build. This has been a thing for a long time, but a lot of people still don't know about it. 9.9 kilometer ship acquisition range on our radar for 40 seconds. To put it into perspective, given an opportunity against the destroyer, once you get in range to get spotted, you know that they're in range to radar, which means you are guaranteed to light them up the moment you get spotted, right? And usually it means a dead destroyer, because destroyers just aren't expecting a 40-second radar from something that can basically two-salvo them to death. But again, that assumes that they're full broadside and not actually being smart and trying to dodge and staying bow in or stern in. You know, the destroyers can survive the radar of a Mino up close, but it is not an easy thing to do, and you got to make sure you don't panic. But that is the whole purpose of this build. It is a stealth radar build. This is not anything new. It's nothing that I came up with. This is just my version of it. I don't know if there's a better commander out there. I just switched over my normal commander into a stealth radar. That's all I've done. But with all of that being said, I think it's time to showcase... Oh, wait. You know what? Let's show the stats of my Mino. Just in case you thought that I was trash in Mino. I mean, I still got a 63% win rate on a ship that literally gets one-shotted if you screw up, right? So, I think that's pretty solid, you know? Again, not all of that is with the... Most of that is not with the stealth radar, so keep that in mind. But my average damage in this ship is 92,000. So, it's not bad for a cruiser, especially a cruiser with little tiny guns. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get to the gameplay so that you guys can enjoy a stealth radar. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Tears of the Cruiser. I mean, Tears of the Desert. And we get literally the worst spawn that you can imagine for the radar Mino, and that's center spawn. Why is that such a bad thing on this particular map? It's because if I go forward to immediately radar and kill the first destroyer, I'm going to die with him, if I can kill him at all. Now, generally speaking, against the destroyer, Mino is probably one of the worst things that you can run into, because if you show anything other than the direct bow or stern of your ship, the Mino will shred you in seconds. Right? It is do not pass go, do not collect $200. The Mino is easily one of the most fearsome cruisers to ever come up against in a destroyer. And that being said, we're going to actually end up playing this one a little bit slow. We're going to try to push over to the right initially, but before we get started, you'll see that there's an enemy grows occur first that gets spotted right on our range. He's coming into our range, and so I stop and I try to DAC a little bit. And again, one of the reasons I'm going to do this at the beginning is I don't play the Mino often. I love the Mino, but I don't play it often. And one of the things you kind of get used to in this ship is just how long it takes these shells to get to your target, especially at range. So with all of that being said, I like to try to start the match early by kind of getting my feelings for just how far I have to aim in order to hit the target. And you're going to see that with this gross occur first. It's a gross occur first. It's a 1,000-foot long ship that is ginormous and easy as heck to pin from pretty much anywhere. And yet you'll see that I struggle to hit him at all, just simply due to the fact that, like, again, gotta find our mark, right? So you can see he's starting to speed up, so we're going to continuously increase our lead on this guy over time. You can see each time I take a salvo. Now, the crazy thing is that these ranges, you don't even know that a Mino is shooting you until they start to hit. And by the time they start to hit, you're going to get hit a lot, right? But you can see, unfortunately, not enough lead. But when they do actually start to damage him, we start to stack up some damage relatively quickly, but of course he turns and runs away because, again, Friendly's already shredded his broadside because he decided in a gross car first to just immediately turn broadside in front of everybody. But we got 5,800 damage in the few hits that we managed. We only hit him 7 times, and out of that, I think we only damaged him with 4 or 5 shells. Maybe I'm wrong. But still, 5,800 damage at maximum range, not too shabby, right? So what we're going to do next is we're going to try to push over here towards the Charlie Cap, help these guys get rid of this Kitakazi. Now, unfortunately, with this build, I don't really have a way to have Perceptive. Now, I know there are other commanders out there that have, like, Ingenious on the Mino, which can come in handy, but unfortunately, the other skills that you get with those commanders are just not all that useful. Now, I will say this, that Schlieffen just himself. Those torpedoes, that torpedo that was going to hit him was a Kitakazi torpedo going to do 23,000 damage to the bow of that ship. And he just watched it disappear right before it hit him. Those are the moments you just love in a battleship. It's just like, oh my god, I'm going to get smashed. And then it's just like, oh, never mind, we good. I'm the greatest. But no, you can see I'm already looking across the map here at the Yama. The last known of the Kitakazi was running away. I get spotted here. I'm assuming this is Janan spotting me. Could be the Kitakazi, but again, if you look at the Kitakazi's last known, he was kind of running away through the smoke screen over there. Janan is kind of out here, so I've got to be careful there. But you can see I am going to try to get to a spot where I can shoot this guy over the top of the island here. And we start with 5,800 damage, but you can see if we do manage to hit any shells at all anywhere near his deck or superstructure, we are going to get some pins. As long as we're not hitting armor plate or, you know, on the turrets or anything like that and getting shatters like that. That's the unfortunate side, but Yama ends up getting absolutely obliterated because he beaches himself broadside in front of everybody. I mean, who could have seen that coming? But I gotta give shout-outs where shout-outs are due. There are a couple people on this team that do a fantastic job. I wasn't able to support my team nearly as much as I would like to at the beginning of this match, because again, I didn't know that it was Frederick DeGrosser over here. I know that there's a Janan over here, and I know that there was a Kitakaze over here. And despite that, there were enemies pushing up into crossfires that I wanted to be able to help my team on the left side with, because I have a unique ability to reach across the map and just annoy people. Even if the Mino doesn't do a lot of damage, it does have a tendency to just irritate people enough to get them to do stupid things. And they will make bad decisions in order to get away from a Mino. Even if the Mino is not actually doing damage, there's a psychological impact of the Mino that just keeps hitting you over and over again. Even if it's not doing damage, those shells hitting you over and over again just start to get on your nerves, if nothing else, and make you do things that you wouldn't normally do in that situation. And I think that is something that a lot of people just don't understand about the Mino. I think not only is it a ship that everybody just kind of undersells, but they're like, oh, it's just a Mino, I'll murder the Mino. A well-played Mino can be a problem real fast. Because, again, AP damage, you don't really get to heal as much of that back as you do with HE fires, you know what I mean? Like, if you're a DOT fire spammer, battleships can heal that back. Cruisers can heal that fire damage back. And then, of course, you got these area denial torpedoes. Speaking of area denial, hello, Janan. We don't want to sit here and find out what happens when we take one of those torps. Unfortunately, we'd have to leave our smoke screen. You can see I am going to push forward, and knowing the Kitakaze was over here, I had a sneaking suspicion that the Kitakaze went over to Bravo, but I didn't know for sure. So I just assumed that the Kitakaze is still trying to kill my Schlieffen. So I try to put myself between the Kitakaze and where I thought the Kitakaze was, and the Schlieffen, but also the Janan. I'm running my sonar. I've been able to spot these torpedoes. Getting the torpedoes spotted really early on helps your teammates a lot by dodging. And you can see, not only that, but I try to radar here because I knew that I could potentially radar the Janan if he was sitting in the smoke. He isn't sitting in the smoke. He's took off. The smoke screen is dissipated. He is out of there. Which is going to tell you a lot about this Janan and why I've always said, if you heard it yesterday, the Janan, as strong as it can be, if you know it's there, it's not really a problem. Like this guy, what is he going to do? He's shooting at maximum range. I get some shots out here. He's going to run away because Janan knows that it just does not have a good fight against a Mino. It just doesn't. Like, you're going to be shooting HE at me. I can heal pretty much everything that you do to me back. And then, of course, I get the ability to just obliterate you with AP if you show any sign of angling. So, Janan is not a good matchup against a Mino, right? But because of that, and because there's an Alaska actively going after Janan, which Alaska is a radar and has super cruiser guns that are fantastic and one of my favorite ships in the world, I just said, okay, well, if this Alaska's going after him, I'm going to try to help my destroyer. Now, my destroyer makes a mistake here. I understand the concept of what he's doing. He asks for help, and I am actively turning to come directly at him. If he's paying attention to the minimap at all, and you can see this is a failed radar by the Alaska, can't blame him, but he does end up eventually getting the guy spotted here towards the end, but I don't know how much he's going to be able to do to him as he's kiting away. And you can see I don't even bother shooting at him because, again, light cruiser, very agile. Shooting at him at 13 kilometers for me, I mean, it's going to be tough to get a hold of him, right? But our destroyer decides to engage, and if you look at the minimap, we know that there's a destroyer over at Delta, that is the Kitakaze, and we know that there are two destroyers that were at Alpha, and they are potentially heading back towards Bravo. So our destroyer pushing into Bravo this quickly when we have a 300-point lead is unnecessary. I understand what you're trying to do, and you can see our Alaska just getting bullied by this Janan. Again, chasing a Janan is not the right answer. It just isn't. That's where that thing is the deadliest, right? You can see I'm trying to put myself at the Kitakaze, and then you'll see that as our destroyer's capturing the base, he's going to light up the destroyer coming at him in the Vampire. And so I try to help the guy out. You can see Gearing's there too. I mean, Gearing and essentially a Daring with the Vampire, that's a hard combo to come up against in a destroyer. That's a lot of firepower, plus the sonar, plus you've got one spotting from smoke, you know what I mean? Like, it's a bad day for a Jutland. But unfortunately, Jutland goes down very quickly, as you'd expect. You also had the Kitakaze shooting from Delta at him as well. But as the Kitakaze, or not Kitakaze, as the Jutland goes down, I start pushing in, and then I'm running my sonar, and the vampire thinks that it's a good idea to start shooting me. And again, if you're looking at what he's doing, he's angled, trying to get all of his guns on target. And again, if I was better with this ship, again, trying to hit targets that are actively dodging, even though he's not doing a very good job, is difficult if you're not used to the ship, right? It takes time to get accustomed to. But then gearing does the unthinkable. This is pure stupidity if you're gearing. And I'm not saying that that's the player. I'm just saying this maneuver by the gearing is pure stupidity. You do not give your broadside to a Mino, because in very, very short order. And then he smokes up and he's still broadside, but I've still got my radar going. The guy's still spotted. He just sits there and he's like, oh yeah, this is fine. It's not. But you'll also notice that real soon there's going to be a battleship pop up on the map. We know this is the Ohio. We know he's out on my left. So I just immediately start dodging, not only to keep myself angled pretty decently to the destroyer, but also to dodge the incoming fire of the Ohio. We knew this was coming, so we're trying to get out of the way without actually looking at the shells, because if this destroyer gets himself spotted, I want to be there to capitalize. And you can see we do manage to dodge the Ohio shells pretty easily. And we've lost some health, but again, we have 2 more heals. It's not the end of the world. Ohio is still spotted though, and I make the mistake of not actually trying to like turn as aggressively here, because I'm trying to close the distance with the vampire. And of course, as soon as I get ready to launch torps, the little turd comes out. We do get a full salvo away, and that's hurting, right? And of course, in true Spartan fashion, we got to leave him with just enough to continue being a problem. Knowing he was going to drop torps, we get slapped by the Ohio. I'm in trouble. If Janan shoots me here, I'm hurting, right? But fortunately, the destroyer hides behind the island, knowing that he has no hit points left. The Janan is far enough away that he doesn't have a way to spot me, and so I get to drop spot, but I also get to stay in the cap. And I'm almost ready to get my heal back. And look how good this heal is. This heal is at least, what, a third of my health? Maybe more? So that's a big difference, especially after you just took a big hit. And you can see I'm trying to push, but I'm trying to stay in the cap here because I want to maintain our points lead. And you can see I get very lucky again with these deep water sneaky torps from the Janan. Turning towards the Janan there, I got so lucky, let's be honest. That wasn't skill. I had no idea those torps. I had a feeling, but I had no idea those torps were actually there. And I just slipped it. You get lucky sometimes. Is it better to be lucky or good, you know? But we haven't done a lot of damage up to this point. You're probably thinking, well, Spartan, what are you talking about? This isn't that great. But we have absolutely controlled this match ever since our destroyer went down. Janan is going to put himself out here to shoot at us as well. We've still got to keep in mind that the battleship is within range to shoot us as well. Because we only have 17.5 kilometers of range, so that Ohio is fully capable of hitting us from here. Speaking of, Janan decides to do the same thing and give me a broadside, and this is death. You just can't do it. This is what I'm talking about with, if you give this thing any angle at all in a cruiser, you're going to get shredded real fast. One of the few ships that kind of hang with it in terms of giving broadside, in terms of light cruisers, was the Worcester. And of course, we unfortunately don't manage to kill him. We get just enough damage to leave him for the Schlieffen secondary to finish off. But we put some distance between us. Unfortunately, Janan also torps the guy. Again, Schlieffen has sonar. I know he's a big ship. He knew that the Janan was there. There was no reason for him to really put himself in position to go after the Janan at all. He should have stayed away, and then he'd have been in a crossfire to help with the Ohio and the Conqueror. We still have a friendly Conqueror over there who's been standing on his head on that side of the map trying to help that flank for the entire match. He's been up against it the whole time, and you got two very, very healable battleships shooting at one another. The Ohio with its improved heal, the Conqueror with its super heal. Like, they are very, very tanky when it comes to long, drawn-out engagements one-on-one, right? Now, there's only one destroyer left, and this is where the radar and stealth come in handy. Because as soon as I get spotted, I know he's in range to radar. So we immediately radar the guy, and I mean, that's just GG. I think I missed this first salvo, but it only takes one shell at this point. You got lucky the last time. And he turns away, slows down, avoids it, and then, of course, we hit him with the one shell, and the superstructure finishes him off. And then I make a mistake. Vampire is essentially a daring, right? and that means it has those little, you know, get out of jail free card smoke screens, and I make a huge mistake here. I'm shooting my guns thinking there's a smoke screen between me and the Ohio, and I know roughly where the Ohio is. I know he was slowing down to go forward again, so I was hoping to get a few cheap shots into him. Unfortunately, I get myself spotted. And this is where me being an idiot comes in, right? Like, all it takes is one good salvo from this Ohio, but you can see the shells incoming. I'm turning. Like, this is what I'm talking about at range. It's really not a problem to dodge with the Mino. Like, you're such a small ship at range, and you're decently agile. The ship turns really well. It doesn't really slow down out of turns either because it's got the built-in propulsion mod. So, like, it's so good at range. But you can see there's no reason for me to re-engage with this battleship. We have the points lead. He cannot possibly win without killing me. And so, at this point, we're just going to turn away and take the win. But I hope that this kind of showcases that there's more than one way to play a ship, right? Like, we talk about these different builds all the time. There's no right or wrong way to play a ship. There's only the way that you choose to play the ship. Now, that may be more or less effective than other people, but again, it comes down to your play style, what you prefer. But I like to mess around every once in a while, showcase different builds just to mix it up a little bit. I love the Mino. I think I'm probably more effective with the radar Mino at winning games than I would be with the regular Mino. With sitting in smoke and stuff like that, just for the simple fact that, like, I tend to get a little bit lazy with a smoke Mino, whereas this, I'm constantly having to pay attention. I've got to put myself in good positions, counter the enemy destroyers, and so on. But overall, I think this match pretty much showcased exactly why the radar Mino is so dangerous, because, again, with that concealment and that long of a radar, and the fact that this thing really only needs like 2 to 3 salvos if it gets a good shot at you, to kill a full health destroyer, it can be hilarious. But 84,000 damage, again, not the most. But Conqueror, again, well done to the Conqueror. 3,128 base XP in the Conqueror, standing on his head on that side, doing everything he could to protect the team's win for as long as possible. Z52 also did a good job, and our Preussen, I don't know where he was, but I'm assuming he was on the left side as well. But to have half our team essentially doing over 2,000 base and 2 of us getting over 3,100 base is a pretty solid team. So you can't really complain there. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree down in the comments below. If you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.